Good morning to all. Today in this presentation, we are going to discuss about the general characteristics of amphibians. Let us see about the general characteristic features. What are all the important features the amphibians possess? The amphibians are the first vertebrates to become adapted for the terrestrial and aquatic life. Hence, they have the dual mode of life. They are called as amphibians. They are accommodated for the aquatic system as well as for the land or the terrestrial system. Because of this, they are indicated as the amphibian. There is dual mode of life. Structurally, amphibians are between the fish on one hand and reptiles on the other. This says that the prior class is Pisces, and from the Pisces, the amphibia has evolved, and the next class is Reptilia, and from the amphibia, the reptile is going to evolve. So, this is the meaning for this. And what is the other features? How they are going to be differentiated? What features are going to be the important one? How the organism is going to be identified? The identification is the body is divisible into head and trunk region, and in some of the amphibians the tail may be present, and in most of the amphibians the tail is absent. The skin is very smooth because of the presence of glands. The moist glands are there, which secretes the mucus and keeps them moist always. They are usually without scales. They don't possess the scales, but if at all present, they are present beneath the skin. In the caecilians, example is mostly the caecilians. And usually the paired fins are absent. They don't have the paired fins. And unpaired fins may be present in the larval stages. And instead of fins, they have the paired limbs, which are used for the locomotion, except in the caecilians. As caecilians are otherwise called as apoda, they don't have the legs. So they don't use the limbs for the locomotion. And exoskeleton is completely absent. They don't have the exoskeleton. And they have the digits. Digits in the sense they have the digits with the toes, but not with the claws. They are clawless. Digits are clawless. And the next one is the organism has the skull, which is the identification of the higher organism. The skull has well developed two occipital condyle, or they are also called as dicondylate. See, this image shows you the condyle structure. I hope that you can see the image which shows the occipital condyle. This is one and this is other one. So there are two occipital condyles near to the foramen magnum. Foramen magnum is here, and near to the foramen magnum you will be having two occipital condyles, and each occipital condyle bear at its posterior end a convexity, and the occipital condyle which articulates with the concavity of the atlas vertebra. So this occipital condyle is going to get articulated with the first vertebra, what we call as the atlas. And the respiratory organs are different. They have pulmonary respiration with the help of lungs, and they have buccopharyngeal respiration with the help of a mouth region or the buccal cavity, and they have the cutaneous respiration through the skin, and in the tadpoles they breathe with the help of the gills. And this image and denotes the respiration. So this is the mouth cavity, and this is the nostril region, and through this nostril the air passes inside, and here we will be having the buccopharyngeal respiration as well as the pulmonary respiration. The lungs are present here, and this arrow mark denotes the respiration with the help of skin, what we call as the cutaneous respiration. That also takes place in the frog, which is very unique for the frogs. And the heart is three-chambered. They have three-chambered heart, which possess two auricles and one ventricle. And in the heart, they also have sinus venosus and truncus arteriosus. And the amphibians possess a well-developed hepatic portal and renal portal system. Usually the red blood corpuscles are biconvex and they are oval in shape, which are nucleated. Kidneys are mesonephric and the urinary bladder is present in the amphibians. Larvae and tailed amphibians, that is the salamanders. Example for tailed amphibian is salamander. These are aminotelic. They are completely excreting the ammonia, whereas frogs and toads are ureotelic. They will be excreting the urea. They have a well-developed alimentary canal, urinary system, reproductive tract, everything is there. And all these three things open into a common chamber, what we call as cloaca. And this cloaca will be opening outside through the cloacal aperture. They will be having an opening called as cloacal aperture. That will be opening out, that is either for the excreting the urine or for releasing the ovum or the egg. It takes place with the help of the cloacal aperture. And this image shows you the three-chambered heart. You can see the two auricles. See this A denotes both the sides you have the letter A, which denotes the auricle, and V denotes the ventricle, which is not separated, which is not divided. So it is a single ventricle, whereas we have two auricles. And the amphibians have the double circulatory system, which is very, very unique for the amphibians. And they have ear. Amphibians possess internal ear, which consists of the middle ear. Internal region consists of the middle ear. And they have the tympanum, what we call as the outer membrane, which is going to cover the middle ear. And they have one ear ossicle. So this image shows you the ear, columnella, the middle ear, what we call as the columnella. This region is called as the middle ear. And the eyelids are well developed. The organism possesses a well developed eyelid, and they also have a well developed nictitating membrane. What is this nictitating membrane? So this membrane is called as the nictitating membrane. You can see the eye, and this glassy membrane is called as the nictitating. When they are in the water, when they swim, this membrane prevents the entry of water inside, and at the same time they can view the external environment also. And most of the amphibians have the homodont teeth. Homodont means the teeth are very uniform in shape, size, and the function. So that is homodont. See, this image shows you the arrangement of teeth, which are similar in shape, size, and arrangement. This is called as homodont. And this picture shows you the heterodont. Hetero means different. So they have different types of teeth. And it also has a protrusible tongue. The organism has a protrusible tongue, and they are very sticky in nature, which helps to capture the prey. So you can see the image here. They have a good protrusible tongue. See, the tongue is getting protruded and they capture the prey. And next comes about the cranial nerves. They have 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Fertilization is external. They lay the eggs in the external environment or in the water. However, in salamander and ichthyophiles, that is the blind worm, fertilization is internal. And mostly the organisms are oviparous. And salamander is different. They have the viviparous method of reproduction. Development is mostly indirect. Indirect in the sense we know that they have the larval stages. The organism possesses the larvae in between to develop the adult one. That only we mean the indirect development. And here the amphibians also have the indirect development. The larvae metamorphoses to change into the adult. And they return to the water. Though they are residing in the terrestrial land, they return to the water for breeding. Male lacks the copulatory organs. Metamorphosis is usually present, and a fish-like larvae, that is the tadpole, is present. We already mentioned that they have the tadpole stage, and they occur in the fresh water. and in the moist land. That is, amphibians usually found in the freshwater and moist land. Mostly amphibians are not found in the seawater or marine water, except a few. A common example is toad, rana, ichthyophysis, etc. And this image shows you the 10 cranial nerves. The first cranial nerve or the spinal nerve we call as hypoglossal nerve, which is going to help in the tongue. Hypo means down and glossal means tongue. Below the tongue, you have the first spinal nerve, and next comes the second spinal nerve, and third spinal nerve is present. Fourth is here, fifth, sixth is arranged in the thoracic region, and the seventh, eighth, ninth, and tenth spinal nerve or the cranial nerve, which helps in the formation of sciatic plexus. It will be helping in the formation of plexus. So this image clearly shows that. And the next image shows the reproduction or the fertilization process. So fertilization is external. The adults lays the eggs outside and fertilization takes place. And this fertilization undergoes cleavage, undergoes blastoylation, embryo formation, and then comes the larva, which is also called as the tadpole. The tadpole develops into the later stage of the tadpole, higher stage of tadpole, and then it develops or moves into the adult one. This moves into the adult stage. This picturizes that, and this is the various stages of cleavage. Cleavage is mostly holoblastic, and they are unequal. Unequal holoblastic cleavage takes place in the amphibians. See, this is the first embryo, and here it undergoes the cleavage, and it is not equal, it is unequal, and again it is undergoing the mitotic division. The cell is divided, it is getting divided, and more number of cells are produced. Blastula, gastrula are produced in the cleavage process. And this picture shows how the early tadpole is getting changed to the later stage of the tadpole, where many features are getting included. So in the early stage, we have the external gills. With the help of the external gills, they breathe, and then they move on to the later stage of the tadpole, where the front limb region is getting bulged and the hind limb is formed. And then in the next stage of the tadpole, they form the front legs or the forelegs, and then in the later stage, forelimbs and the hind limbs are well developed, and the tail becomes very short, whereas in the tadpole stages, the tail is little bit lengthier when compared to that of the later stage of the tadpole. And when it is completely changing into the adult, the tail is completely absent. So this is the picture which shows the general characteristic features, how the fertilization takes place, how the embryo is developed, how the tadpoles are produced, how they are changed into adult with the help of metamorphosis process. And next we move on to the classification. So the classification is very important. Just we saw the characteristic feature, and now we move on to the classification. And the organisms are found under the phylum Vertebra, class Amphibia, and the subclass. They have two subclass. One is Stegocephalia. The Stegocephalia subclass is completely extinct, and subclass 2, which we call as the Lis amphibia or the modern amphibia. And this is the living one or the extant one. Under Stegocephalia, the extinct, we have three orders, and in the Lis amphibia also we have three orders. So let us see about the Stegocephalia subclass. The first order is the Labyrinthodontia, and the second order is Phyllospondyle, and third order is Lepospondyle. All the three orders are completely extinct now. And let us move on to the extant or the living group of amphibians, which comes under the subclass 2 Lysamphibia. First order is Gymnophiana or Apoda. Apoda is also called as Cecilia. A means absence, poda means legs. So in this Gymnophiana or the Apoda, completely the legs are absent. And Urodela or Chordata, the second order. Uro means tail or Chordata means tail, where this group of organisms possess tailed amphibians. And the last one is Anura or Silentia, where we call or we say that the organism is absence of tails. These organisms are completely don't possess the tail. A means absent, Ura means tail, as I said in the previous order, Urodila. So Ura means tail, and here it is Anura, which denotes that this order or the group of organisms found under the Anura lacks the tail completely. So by this, I conclude the classification. And in the upcoming session, definitely we'll discuss about the general or general characteristic features of Lysamphibia as well as the orders, three orders found under the Lysamphibia with the proper example and the features, everything in the upcoming session or in the next video. Thank you for your patient listening, and the PPT is assembled from various sources only for the students' better understanding. The authors of various sources are duly acknowledged. The images are taken from the Google, and everything, each and every person and every authors are duly acknowledged. Once again, thank you all for your patient listening.